Hello, friends, and welcome to Upgrade Boulevard. Are you excited like myself? Look at me grinning from mouth to mouth. This is week 2. God has been faithful. I hope you've been thankful to Him for the things you have, rubbed minds with in week 1. We're in week 2, and there's nothing as good as maintaining a heart of gratitude in everything that we do, or in every phase of life that we get to find ourselves. Don't forget that at the Upgrade Boulevard, what we do is we empower you, we equip you, engage you with resources, materials that would help you to grow strong in spirit and in your mind as well, helping you to live a life of daily impact as you fulfill your visions, as you smash your goals, as you just keep stepping up into a better and higher version of yourself. Quickly, week 2, we are going to the part 2 of Clarify You subject. Last week we started with Clarify You. We touched 4 pillars. Right, this week we're going to be touching 4 pillars as well. Don't forget that Clarifying You is about providing further information about yourself to no one else but to yourself. All right, it's about simplifying your life by personal questioning. You know the best questions to ask. What am I representing? What does my value represent? And all of that, my reasons for doing what I'm doing, my motivations. Okay, we touched all of that last week. Remember that Clarify You helps to explain why you would prefer to do some things in certain ways and accepting them as your way of blessing life and then your own way of creating. Clarifying births and builds conviction, and our conviction impacts on everything that we do. We're going to have a quick recap on the first 4 fundamental pillars of self-discovery, which we touched last week. Number 1, we said the values. Number 2, your motivations. Your values speak to your core morals, your personal cultures. What are the things you hold dear? What are the things you hold dear? They will, and most of the time, be very different from somebody else's. Remember, we said that last week. Your motivations, the force behind your decisions. Number 3, your big reason. When everything is said and done, why are you truly living? What is that sense of fulfillment that you're getting for doing everything you're doing? And at number 4, we talked about your personal productivity system. How do you work? How would you prefer to work? How do you consider time of essence? And how is your ability to work helping you to produce the kind of results you want to achieve? Those were the first 4 pillars we looked at last week. And today we'll be going into 4 other pillars that very, very important to the self-discovery path that we are taking. Number 1, today we are talking about your learning style. 2, your strengths and abilities. Number 3, your personality. And then number 4, your mindsets and beliefs. This particular 4 are how do I say it? There are things I really want you to give attention to. Your learning style, your strengths and abilities, your personality, your mindset, and your beliefs. At number 1, your learning style. Your learning style. Every one of us has a learning style. It's really changed my way of doing things, especially when it had to come to my value creation as a creative. My value creation as a creative, when I began to teach, when I began to write and still produce my music, I realized that there was a way that I loved to learn. There was a way that I love to learn. And if I shifted from that, in a way, it would affect how I show up for my vision. At number 1, learning style. This speaks of how you acquire, how you discover and retain and apply new knowledge. How you acquire, how you discover, retain and apply new knowledge. Now, the production and the utilization process of knowledge has been compared to the digestive metabolism of living things. When I saw this, in one of the coaching classes that I attended, I was like, wow, this is huge. That really the production and the utilization process of knowledge has been compared to the digestive metabolism of living things. Now look at it this way: the body does not retain all the food that goes in through the mouth. I want you to see the picture I'm painting before you. The body does not retain all the food that goes through the mouth. It selects what it needs, maximizes effectively what it needs, and then discards what is not necessary per time. Now put that side by side with how we learn. The truth of the matter is, we could listen to an entire sermon, 30-minute sermon, but how you are acquiring knowledge and the knowledge staying with you differs for all of us. Some things are staying, some things are being eroded off, and some things are being applied. All right, so that's what we're saying here, that the production and the utilization of knowledge is like food for the soul. So as you're taking it in, there's something going on such that it's related to how you learn. So what you're taking in, what you're throwing out, what you're applying differs for every single person. This quote I want to leave with us by Brian Tracy. He says, people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to all their work of any kind. I'm sure you know that as creatives and as visionaries, in a way, we don't do just one thing. For example, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a worship leader, I'm a music minister, so I don't just do one thing. But Brian Tracy is saying here that when we develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge and apply it to all forms of work that we do and how we live our lives, we will be movers and shakers in our society for the indefinite future. And isn't that what you want? Isn't that what I want? We want to be movers, we want to be shakers, we want to impact. Movers and shakers are those that impact. It's not about being famous, it's about impact. It's about impact. It's about impact and positive influence. So he's saying here that the level at which our impact and influence grows is proportional to how quick and how hungry we are for acquiring knowledge on a continuous basis. Now here I want to, why do we learn? Why do we learn? Why do we learn? Number one is to convert knowledge to physical results. I'm touching this because you are in the Upgrade Boulevard and you need to know why you're gathering all this knowledge. You need to know how to transfer it. You are on a learning curve right now and you're going to be gaining some new form of knowledge. The question is, how are you going to convert them into something relevant for the vision or the goals you're trying to achieve now? So to convert knowledge is one of the reasons why we learn. Knowledge to physical results and optimal life productivity. At number two reason why we learn, it is to eliminate old ideologies and ill mindsets from sabotaging our future. Each and every one of us is a product of a kind of mindset. We are products of mindset. We've been exposed to different things at different times, at different phases of our lives. And we have picked up certain things that may not flow with the path of the vision God has called us to take, or the goals we're trying to set now. So one of the reasons why we learn is because as you are learning new things and gaining new knowledge, you are eliminating old ideologies. Suddenly you have aha moments and you're like, wow, this is why I'm stuck here. This is the reason why I shouldn't be doing this. You delete that, embrace, allow the new knowledge come in and stay in that place. That way you are eroding ill mindsets and you are helping your future to come to you at a quicker pace. Number three, so I'm saying here that when learning, two things two processes are actually taking place. There's a building up process and there's a breaking off process. There's a building up process and there's a breaking up. You are building up new philosophies, ideologies, and mindsets. You are breaking off new ones. I beg you, don't be like those people who would realistically see what is working and see that, oh, I should embrace this kind of new skill, new mindset, or taking something positive so that I can shift further, as opposed to staying with old system just because of comfort. Okay, so building up process takes on while we are learning, and a breaking off process also takes place. What you're doing when learning is you are establishing and you are also deleting. You are establishing and you're also deleting. You're establishing your brand. You're establishing your makeup. You're establishing what you stand for, and then deleting what you do not want. All right. Let me talk a little bit about the learning process. When we come in contact with new knowledge, four things are taking place. Our learning metabolism kicks off almost immediately. You're relating with new knowledge, just like what you're doing now. Your learning metabolism kicks off. Now, this metabolism we're talking about could either be fast or slow, depending on the kind of knowledge you're relating with. So, like when I started taking courses on IT stuff and all of that, trying to understand, trying to shift. That was the post-COVID era, when I realized that there were things I need to really know how to do on my own, as opposed to just waiting for people to do for me when it came to my work, my businesses, and my family as it were. So I'm saying to myself, technology is here. At first, it was tough, it was hard, it was slow. My learning metabolism relating with that new knowledge was slow. All right, so that's what I mean by depending on the kind of knowledge you are relating with. There are some things you may be familiar with that when you're even learning on that part, your learning metabolism will be fast, okay? Because you have related with it over time and you're just picking it up. But for me at that point, it was slow. Comparing that time to now, my learning metabolism, when it has to do with learning things that are techy, has increased. So depending on the kind of knowledge you're relating with, your learning metabolism could either be fast or slow. However, whatever we are learning, still on the long run would impact our decision making. It will impact our decision making, and this decision making is what influences our life and the results we have to a great degree, to a very great degree. So look at last year or 2 years ago when I was depending on people to do my videos for me. Even though I send them content, I want you to make slides for me, I want you to please help me do something that I can post as a video that people could learn from. And or even when I want to do layover, voiceovers and all of that, it was kind of slowing down my results. But as soon as I began to learn, okay, what tools are there that I can quickly learn and begin to use to help me get better. So you see, in that part flow, I had to make new decisions. That has now influenced the kind of results that I'm having when it has to do with my work. So like I said earlier, do not halt your learning metabolism. Maintain a positive and welcoming attitude to knowledge, because eventually that is what helps us to fulfill our purpose. Your learning style. Let's talk about your learning style. So now we are saying, how do you learn? How do you take in knowledge the quickest? For me, is reading. Is reading. We'll talk about all of that. Then number 3, I'm asking, so these 3 questions are some of the things I want you to probe on as you think about your learning style. How do you learn? How do you take in knowledge the quickest? And then what intelligence do you put the great demand on when embracing new knowledge? What intelligence do you put a great demand on when embracing new knowledge? For types of learning styles, I have come to realize that there are quite a number. I learned by observation. One of the ways that I learned fastest while I was growing in my music ministry, in my worship leading, was observation. I didn't have the liberty of traveling down to go and have a one-on-one meeting with a worship leader that had gone ahead, or it felt like there were so many starting churches then, so it wasn't as if I had access to churches that were really established and I could have a one-on-one contact with their worship leaders. The best that I had and I could leverage on at that time was observation with colleagues, observations with fellowships, and all of that. Types of learning style. We have questioning as well. We have watching visuals. So for some people, visuals, they need to be seeing something as they're learning. They need to be seeing something moving. They need to be seeing, videos and all of that. For others, journaling, writing. If they have not written, they are not sure they have taken in that knowledge in. And I'm like that as well. I write a lot. I don't only write songs, journals. I write my thoughts down. Before I have a class, I have sat down with the thoughts, write them out again to be sure that it has sunk into me. Meditation is another learning style for people. Application is another learning style. Immediate action. Okay, that also speaks of application, So, and then revelation. Suddenly, it just bops on you and you're like, wow, this is, and then you just realize layers and layers and layers of thoughts are opening to you. That's the learning style. And then modeling. Some people would just rather sit with a kind of person and ask questions. They just want to follow that person's thrill, the steps and all of that the person has taken. That's another learning style. Now, as we look at this part, I'm going to be talking about Howard Gardner's exposition on learning. He is saying that we have a leverage. You could browse on Howard Gardner to know much more about the work he does. But what he was saying is that we have a leverage. We have a leverage. Each and every one of us on the surface of the earth have unique intelligences that we could leverage once we discover them, to learn quicker and to learn faster and to become better persons for our visions and our goals. So he talked about 8 profound intelligences. Number 1, he talked about the visual spatial intelligence, where these are the kind of people who are more environmentally aware. They kind of draw more. They read, but they draw maps, they design, they build models. That is, there are people whose intelligences are this way. Okay, and once they discover this, they can put this quickly into their learning system. So if there are books as opposed to written with just letters, these are the kind of people that would rather flow with books that have a lot of pictures, a lot of drawings and all of that. They might just look at a drawing and then just all they need to do is to just see the framework and they understand everything that is being said about what is being taught. The second category is linguistic. Oratory skilled people. They are thinkers. They love reading. They use words effectively. They are intrigued by words. They just want to bring words together to convey a meaning. So this is another unique intelligence that once you know, you can begin to maximize it in fulfilling your vision. Logical. Number 3, there are logical people, reasoning, calculating, seeing patterns, experiment, solving puzzles. I know like 2 people who have this unique intelligences, and do you know that they leveraged it for their jobs? These are people who are good with numbers, calculating, analytical. They leverage it for their jobs, and it just made them stand out all the time. Okay. Number 4, bodily kinesthetic. Use body effectively. Body awareness, touching, making teams. These are choreographers, dancers, and he's saying you can leverage all of these intelligences to improve your learning style. All right. At number 5 is interpersonal. You love interacting with others, you love making friends, you love traveling. There are people that learn by traveling. They learn by traveling, and it's just so interesting how God has framed all of us. So there's really no room for, or there's really no excuse for wanting to be like somebody else. Once you can realize what you have and what you have been given, understand that it's enough. It's a safe place to start your path. Number 6 now is intrapersonal. These are intrapersonal intelligences. They are intuitive with their inner feelings. They have a high level of wisdom. They also have a high level of strong will, confidence, opinions. They have deep-seated convictions, and they can run with independent study. That is, no matter what they take in from other resources, if they have not done their personal study, it doesn't stay well with them, whatever they have learned. All right. So there are people with this kind of intelligences. Number 7 is music, a strong sensitivity to music, rhythm, and sound. A strong sensitivity to music, rhythm, and sound. And so you see people who cannot really do so much except there is that kind of rhythm and sound, flowing underneath. It has to just be going on. It has to just be going on for them to learn well or for them to be effective. And at number 8, Howard Gardner says naturalistic. Those people who are naturalistic, strong interest with nature, animals, plants, and nature. I mentioned nature earlier. So I think I have a bit of the naturalistic too, because there are times when I realize that if I want to meditate or something, I could just decide to just stay in a position where I'm just looking into the sky, or I'm in a place where the fields are really green, and it just helps me. The tranquility helps my learning to be smoother. So it will be good for you to go through all of this 8 and ask yourself, what 2 or 3 really rest with me, so that you can begin to use that to push your learning at a faster pace. Number 2, our strengths and our abilities. This is not really new to everyone, but sometimes it feels like we just push it aside and like it doesn't matter. Everyone is born with the ability to do certain things well. Yeah, everyone is born with the ability to do certain things well, and everyone can grow in abilities too. So we are going on that path. I want you to think about this as you are growing, as you are. So think about a child. There are things that you are naturally endowed with that might have showcased in your life as a teenager, but as you grow, you see a higher version of that strength, isn't it? So which means that we can grow in our strengths and we can grow in our abilities. So I don't want you to stop at, this is just my natural strength, this is all I can do, and not look forward to growing in them. So you should ask yourself, what makes you feel extraordinary? What makes you feel extraordinary? All right? Think about it. If I'm to ask myself that question, I'll say that what makes me feel extraordinary is my multi-expressions. The fact that I can see myself fulfilling different roles and I'm at peace with it. All right, that's the strength. That's the strength. So what makes you feel extraordinary? I could say a lot here, but I need you to answer it for yourself. Okay, don't rush it. Don't rush. That's what your journal is for, where you can just answer all of those things as the answers come to you. And it's not a one for all exercise. You keep thinking on these things, and as the answers come to you, you put them down. At number 2, think about, what do you do so well without any form of training? So that's another way to look at it. so that you know what your strengths are. What have you been doing so well without any form of training? Number 3, think about your special endowment. It wasn't as if, we call it gifts, right? It wasn't as if you did anything at all, but you realize it's there. And at different phases of our lives too, you begin to see different things erupt. Okay, you will see different giftings erupt. So what are your special endowments? Look at the past, look at where you are now, and then make those answers possible for yourself. What are your growing endowments? Because growing endowments are also strengths. They are also strength. I'm growing in my administrative skill. I have someone who I work with for my admin work, and she's just so good. So something she would take 20 minutes to do, I could spend 1 hour at it, and I don't feel bad because I am growing in it. I look at where I was with my administration and working with Microsoft, typing and all of that. I look at where I was before, I look at where I am now, and I tell myself, you're doing well. So you should know your growing strengths as well, and at number 6, what new ability have you suddenly noticed? What new ability have you suddenly noticed? Okay, and then how do you put your strength to use? How are you planning on putting the new discoveries to use? How are you putting the ones you have noticed before to use? I have been in different communities, and I have personally seen strength of some people that they have not seen themselves. Okay, I remember 2 ladies in my choir, and then one was a wordsmith and an encourager. And so, but she had a good voice, and she loved singing, but not to the measure she thought she had. But then I began to open her up to, see, you're a wordsmith. Look at the way you put words together. When I ask you to just quickly write me something on this, you do it with little or no stress. We need you for introductions of our music, where so once the choir has said this is what we want to render to the church or something, you can come up with a short piece, and give whoever is going to be taking the song to use. So there are abilities in you that you need to find ways to also put them to use. So that's just an example, by the way. These are things you should think about so that you know your strengths better and then begin to use them. Okay? At number 3, your personality style. Your personality type. I love the way Debola Dejikurumi puts what personality means. She said it's the agent of our soul, the vehicle through which I convey my role to the world. The agent of our soul. This is why I always tell people, we don't have to sing alike, we don't have to talk alike, we don't have to. I do love the idea of people learning from others, but I don't want you to lose yourself in that style of learning. Some people have gotten to a point where if they don't do it the way that person is doing it, then they haven't measured up, or they are missing it. So your personality style is a gift, a vehicle that has been given to you to convey your role and your vision in the most unique way to those you have been called to serve. And with your personality type, begin to think of your God-given wiring. How are you wired? Okay? How are you wired? How are you wired? I like noise. I like it noisy. Fine, put it down. I hate disorderliness. I can't stand it. Put it down. Okay? What are your God-given wiring? I have a loud voice. Wow. That's something. Okay? What are your God-given wiring? What are the personal traits you've been given? Which ones have you imbibed? Because we can grow. Someone said that there are personal traits. That's the choleric, sanguine, the melancholy, and what's the fourth one? I'm sure we know it. They are just simply portions downloaded to us, like a down payment from God to us to at least start our work on earth. But that He doesn't expect us to just remain a choleric. You should grow with all the personality traits perfectly balanced inside you. Okay, that's what I call the spirit, the spirit control temperament. That is, you can grow your personality traits such that you are beautiful in every situation. When you need to be alive and fun-loving, you're not finding it hard because you have allowed yourself to grow in all of the personality traits. However, there is your core. Like I know that mine is I'm a choleric and melancholic. I'm very reflective. I love my space. I love my silence. I thrive in my thinking when I'm alone. So even though I'm choleric, I still have the melancholy part. And to some people, they think I'm sanguine. I know how to keep conversations ongoing, but I learned that. I allowed myself to learn that, so, but I know my core. So when you're thinking of your personality, you're also asking, who am I at my core? Describe yourself in your own words. All right, then how have I changed? That's why we're saying that personality, there's a part given to you at creation, but then there is also the grooming, there's also the nurturing, which will help you in your networking and as you even build relationships as you go on. So that's why we cannot stay glued to just one kind of personality and say, this is me, I can't do better. So now at number 4 pillar for self-discovery today, the last one is mindsets and belief systems, and it's so important. It's so important because this was one of the life-changing moments that I had when I really began to look at why I wasn't getting the kind of results that I wanted to get in certain areas of my life. I began to see that there were unconscious belief systems that were just pushing my life in a direction that I didn't want because I did not know they were there. So mindsets and belief systems, it's not something I want you to joke with. So I want you to think about it this way. What are your regular thought patterns about yourself? Now, as I talk about this, I'm also going to link you up with another video that I did some time ago under the execution series, where I was talking about self-sabotaging mindsets, that do not help us to run well with our goals. So I'm saying here that what are your regular thoughts about yourself? You may have the best goals in the world, but if you have a very poor sense of self, you're not likely to run well with them. So what are your regular thoughts about your vision, about yourself, about your family, about your relationships, about your future? What are those predominant thinking patterns, subconscious thought? So sometimes one of the things that I do is when I have set a goal, and every time I want to work on that goal and I suddenly feel something pushing me back, don't do it now, I ask myself, okay, so where is this coming from? Why am I saying I don't want to do this now? So you realize that people who constantly procrastinate, they are living by a kind of thought that they don't know. They are living with a mindset that says there's always tomorrow. I can do it later. I can do it later, because they think time waits for them. So that's the mindset that they are running with. And when they now run with it for too long, depression sets in. So one of the ways to stay healthy and to continually clarify yourself is to vis-a-vis the goals and vis-a-vis the results that you're getting, you're asking yourself, okay, what thinking patterns got me here? What thinking patterns got me here? What thinking patterns are not giving me what the kind of results that I want? Disempowering mindset. That is, there are mindsets that disempowers you, constantly brings you to that point of depression. So there are times where I noticed that I just had a different mood swing. All of a sudden, I'm just unhappy. Do you know what I do? I trace that mood to the source, because things don't just happen. You have either heard something consciously or unconsciously, either from within you or from outside, external, that has made you, that has disempowered you, that has just drawn out energy from you. So they are disempowering mindsets. They're disempowering mindsets like, is it my type they are looking for? You see somebody do something, and something that should be celebrated, and all of a sudden you just feel like you are not happy, or you feel like the person doesn't deserve that kind of applaud or something. It's going to show in the way you now do some of the things you do as well. So disempowering mindset. However, they're also empowering mindset, which you have. It's not every time you're going to get people feeding you with affirmations. You need to be able to affirm yourself on your own. So even when I have coaching clients or people who look up to me to mentor them in certain pathways, I try, as much as I love giving people compliments and all of that, when I notice that that's all you're looking forward to, those affirmations, that's what you need to push you, I starve you a little bit of it, because on your own you should be able to affirm yourself. Because when you grow that spirit of affirmation within yourself, you're building your mindset, you're helping yourself to be a go-getter on your own, not necessarily waiting for external resources to get you moving. Lastly, you need to think of reoccurring experiences. Now, how does this play in mindset? You see that in your life, maybe there are patterns. You're seeing that, I don't finish things. Okay, so let me set this example. Someone, a mentee came up to me maybe some time ago last week and was sharing with me how he realized that he never finishes something. He starts maybe with a certain level of energy, but he never finishes. I'm going to do this, but I never finish. And before, he felt was just in a part of his life that it was showing up, but he now realized that as he was trying to take step in entering into relationships as well, it was showing. And that is, he would want to give a relationship a try, but he never finishes through. Along the line, he loses the fire and he steps out. Those are reoccurring experiences, and they can be cycle of the same pattern of things. So in clarifying, you should be able to say, okay, if this is happening, is there something, is there a belief system here? So, for example, when I clocked the fourth floor, when I stepped into the fourth floor, I realized that I wanted to do some things, and then month one, I will hold back. I won't do it. And then at a point, I started feeling depressed, and I was asking myself, and I stood and I was like, okay, what's going on? And I realized that I was afraid to step out to do some things at 40, because I felt that people would say things like, what's her own? What's she trying to? You get what I'm trying to say? So 1 month, I realized that I was not taking a step. In second month, this thing is happening again. Third month, this thing is happening again. I have to stop. Why is this reoccurring? What mindset is making me to keep saying, I will not do, I will do this later. I will do this later. I couldn't see myself running with that goal because there was an underlying mindset that had to do with the age 40. And so I had to create some affirmations and let myself know that, see, there's no one God cannot use, irrespective of the age. So if they say by now, maybe I'm supposed to have been on international platforms and all of that, there's no one way traffic that says this is how I'm going to get international platforms. Okay, so there are other things on my inside that I can leverage to begin to spread my influence even beyond my music. So you need to do that. I'm staying on this because mindsets are powerful. Mindsets are powerful, and sometimes some of them are ruling our lives without us knowing. When you see inconsistency with goals, that's what I was talking about. Inconsistency with goals, do you need to ask yourself, what's going on here? Why am I going in this path? We must have short-term meetings, board meetings with ourselves from time to time. This is what helps to clarify ourselves on a consistent basis, and we are becoming perfect fit in nature to consistently meet our goals and run with the vision God has placed in our hands. Now, I'll just quickly do a recap, bringing those 8 pillars of self-discovery together. Okay, just to run through for you. Remember your values, your motivations, your big reasons, your personal productivity. Remember, today we talked about your learning style. In what way do you take in knowledge the quickest? We talked about your strengths and abilities, your exceptional attributes. They are yours. Be proud of them and use them well. We talked about your personality that is natural and is also nurtural. It's natural and it's also nurtural. And then we talked about your mindset and your beliefs. That is, there could be unconscious thoughts ruling our lives and driving our lives. If you don't like where you are, for whatever reason, ask yourself, are there mindsets, are there beliefs that I'm running with? There are times I haven't asked myself, when I read the Bible, I ask myself, do you truly believe this? Don't assume you believe it. Do you truly believe it? Because if you truly believe it, then you do this, you do this, you do that. You do this, you do this, you say. But I say my confession and I'm like, okay, men will favor me. If men will favor, then you should step out and go. And so if you're not stepping out, it means you're not sure if they will favor you. That is how close we must be to ourselves. Okay, so thank you for being a part of this class. And leave your comments in the comment section. We need to know your light bulb moment. What has changed? What hits you? What new steps are you taking? And see you in week 3. God bless you.